Welcome back. So in today's video, I had a student, should I say, ask me recently. Sometimes Charlie, it flows so easy, and I find a way of doing it, and then I see someone else, or I ask a different question, and I seem to get set right back. Like it's just not flowing, it's just not working properly. So in this video, I'm going to try and describe the best I can uh, for why this happens. I can't stress enough with mediumship as a skill. We have to lose the idea that it's just a singular skill. Yeah, I can do mediumship. Yeah, I'm a medium. I can communicate with the spirit world. Whatever term, we have to lose the idea that it's one process and that fits everybody. The communication will work no matter what. It's not like, oh, you do a couple of residentials, or you do a couple of circles, or you do a couple of workshops and you work with one particular teacher and now you can do it. That's not how mediumship works. There are so many skill sets within mediumship that we have to learn or walk through or become comfortable with. And in this process, that will help towards the skill set of mediumship. So there are so many variables to why your mediumship may be working really well at the moment, or the polar opposite, and it's just terrible for you at the moment. There'll be people that watch this channel that just can't get the detail. I can't do this, it's not working, it's all dried up, and I don't even feel like I'm working with the spirit world. And other people will on appearance seem to flow. Just there it is, and away it goes. And what's happened is people become comfortable in one area or one skill that on appearance looks good for mediumship. So I'm racking my brains thinking of an example for you. And let's say you've lost someone that's brilliant. They were part of your world, part of your everyday. You knew every personality trait, you know what they're going to do before they even do it, that kind of thing. Then when you're working mediumship through personality, through essence, through character as your evidence, then this is going to flow. This is going to be one area you've dialed in, and here we go, and this seems to be working brilliant. And you're like, yeah, I finally got it. I finally got it on a consistent enough level that this is working for me. And then you're going to have a client, whether that be in circle or a workshop or a seminar, residential, wherever it'll be. And maybe they were a young child, let's say 8, 9, 10, kind of age there. But now they're mid-40s, say. And they lost their father when they were young. The way the child remembers the person, it will be of childlike memories. They won't remember how dad was as an individual in making tough decisions, or what he chose to do through life experience. They won't remember that. They'll remember the trip to the seaside. They'll remember the car. They'll remember the way he picked them up or greeted them as an 8-year-old child. They won't remember all the other in-depth personality traits, because very rare that an adult shows a child that. They treat them like their children, with love and protection from the real world. So if you are a medium that's great at personality and character and building that essence, then your mediumship is not going to work for this client. It will not portray the mediumship correctly, because what we actually need to do is go to the things, the facts, the figures, and it almost feels like there's no depth to it. And so you may spend 10 years developing personality, character, and essence, but then that one client comes in and you feel like you've tripped up and you've gone all the way back to the start, and I don't know what I'm doing. There's no depth to my mediumship. And the harsh reality is that you haven't worked on enough areas. You haven't learned to communicate as such from every angle. So yeah, it's great to do one way, and this works well for you 80% of the time. But what about the other 20%? What happens there? Do we just accept that's the bad one, or we go away and we beat ourselves up and our spirit team up because we couldn't do it today? And again, it's a harsh reality, but there was no effort put into the facts and the figures, or seeing it as an 8-year-old child that lost her father, and now that child is a grown woman and in her mid-40s. And we haven't learned the expression on the pinpoint facts that go with it. Now, there is another angle there that we also have to look at. And that'll be how your mind is set. You know, maybe you're in a good part of your life. You know, you've got no worries, or you know, you'll have worries, but the money's stable. You know, the whole financial scene is stable for you. You're in a happy relationship, whether that be you're single or with a partner, with a family, whatever that variable is there. But we all encounter those days. You know, maybe we're a little bit under the weather. Maybe we've got a bit of a cold forming, or our energy's not quite on point, and you know, we're feeling a little bit fatigued. Maybe you had a bad day at work. Maybe you had an argument with said partner. All of these variables, I mean, the list is endless. We could do a 20-minute video on the list of variables that come into play. And in turn, your mind may not be in the right gear. And so the development aspect of your mediumship is, how do I override this? How do I detach my own emotion or my own mindset from said communication? That's a development in itself with the variables of your everyday life. So what I'm trying to point out is that so many people think, if I just learn this, then I can do mediumship. And it's certainly not the case. What I tend to do as a teacher of mediumship is, if I know the individual, if I know the individual, if I know the individual personally, if I know the individual, if I know the individual personally, I will give the construction feedback in a way that I know that individual is going to relate immediately to. So if I'm talking to a mum, then I'll personalise the feedback in a real-time scenario for a mum. If you're someone single and you haven't got a care in the world, then I'll construct the feedback in a way that you are going to be able to relate and bring it into your everyday life. And this is because I've acquired this skill set of communication with human beings, with people skills. How do I get you to understand from a teacher perspective what it is that I'm trying to convey, what it is that I'm trying to get across? And these videos, this channel, it's not personalized. I have to kind of design it as a blanket so the majority understand, to which you then write in a question or email or text a question in, and then I can personalize a video for you, the individual, for you, unique problem, and a way that I believe is going to be relatable to you. This is exactly the same as mediumship. Someone is coming in, I'm trying to relate it to someone very personal, to that of the communicator, and therefore my skill set and people skills have been developed in a way that hopefully that message gets across, that communication is delivered and with understanding. There are too many students out there that are trying to learn mediumship. It's like you're acting like you can go into a shop and you can just pick up the goods. I've got mediumship, here we go. And so I strongly recommend, you know, if you're good at certain aspects, you're good at feeling the spirit world, then you're good at that. Maybe work on something that you're not so good at. Maybe dial in the facts and the figures for the 8-year-old child that has a 30-year memory from a father, because personality and character are not going to work all of the time. I personally love the personality and character build, but I also like the facts and the figures sometimes that comes into it. We're trying to get to the client and show that their loved one, their person, is in continuous life, even though there was a belief or an understanding that their earthly life had stopped. So, you know, to the people that do ask me all the time, you know, where the problems are and what's going on. I would maybe look at the areas that are weak, things that you're not so good at. You know, if you're great in one area, you're already great there. So let's maybe try and work on the other ones. So mediumship, any day of the week is good. I've said it across many videos. We are trying to get as many minds touched by the spirit world as possible. So especially in a demonstration of mediumship in a public forum, we're trying to get it across to everyone. So if you're showing a variation of mediumship, this one is heavily facts and figures for the evidence, and the next one's heavily evidential from the perspective of personality, character and essence, then you're showing a variation that you acquire a skill set, not a skill in one area, but a skill set. And we never know what's walking through the door, whether it be a client or whether it be an audience. We don't know what's coming through that door. And so we need a toolbox of skills that maybe sometimes they get used very rarely, but it makes sense to have the tool ready, primed and ready to go for when that occasion turns up. So you are demonstrating that you're in control and you are communicating with an intelligence, with evidence, whatever that is deemed, and the skill set is being displayed, not just a skill. So if you like the video, don't forget to give it that thumbs up. I'm going to wrap it up here. There's many questions. I can already think of things to do off of this video. So don't be frightened to get in the comments and or email if you want to stay anonymous. I have no problems with that, where I can then dial in a video for you and your individual kind of problem. Or if you just feel there's one that would hold value for the community. Subscribe if you aren't already. And I'll catch you lot in the next video.